Good morning and welcome to another of my little breakfasts with the vicar. I'm the Reverend David Perry from Salisbury in Wiltshire, and I hope you enjoy my thoughts. Leave me a message if you're watching this on YouTube, that'll be down below, and if you're listening to the podcast, I'm sure you'll find a way of doing that. As I'm talking to you today, we're entering the third day of lockdown, and it's clearly starting to bite, or it is here in Salisbury. The roads are pretty much empty, the streets are quiet apart from the lawnmower that you can hear behind me. And when I went into the city this morning at 9 o'clock to take my son to work, the city was pretty much deserted. And that is very, very odd. I can't say it's unpleasant, but I guess it's a bit like being on holiday in a foreign country. It seems like we could live that way forever, but of course we can't, because what we're actually doing is spending holiday money. One of the questions I've asked myself recently is what will be the long-lasting changes with this historic event? I've been reading about two other great pandemics of history, the Black Death, which lasted for several hundred years, and Spanish flu in 1918. There have been others since those two, of course, which you may have forgotten about. Since 1918, we've had 1957-58, there was a pandemic, and about 2 million people worldwide died in that flu pandemic. In 1968, there was another one, and about 1 million people died in that one. And in 2009, we had swine flu pandemic, H1N1, if you remember that. And a lot of people died from that. In fact, from that one in 2009, 398 people in the UK died. Coronavirus has already taken more than that. But back to my questions. What will be the lasting effects of the coronavirus? Well, I tried to find the lasting effects of the Black Death and of the Spanish flu. And there aren't that many. And the ones that are have been hotly debated ever since. So what did change? Well, mainly it was finance. From the Black Death, for example, it was poorly paid people who found themselves earning a lot more money than they had before. That brought about other changes as well. For example, new laws came into being, the sumptuary laws. The lords and ladies who were used to being the ones with money in their pockets suddenly found themselves in competition with common people who had money in their pocket, and they wanted to try and control that and stop them spending stuff and buying all the posh stuff. It didn't work. Wealth will out, of course. The Spanish flu epidemic, that left a legacy of turmoil again, because those people who thought they were in charge and knew all the answers suddenly found themselves wanting. They didn't know the answers. And the man in the street and the woman in the street wanted to know why. And these people were suddenly turfed out. Science was in a state of hubris. Science knew everything. It was smug and secure until Spanish flu came along. And then the scientists were embarrassed. Well, it's the hubris that interests me. We think we're right. We think we have the answers. We can control stuff and we can carry on as before, and we don't need to change. Now, I'm not the greatest eco-warrior, and I'm unsure about the security of the science of man-made global warming, but I am sure of a few things. And one thing is this: as a species, we've been trashing our own garden for many, many years, and it makes no sense. We eat too much rubbish, we eat too much sugar, we eat too much fat, we burn too much petrol and diesel, we waste too much, we use too much plastic, we fly too much, we drive too much, and the consequences are horrific. Imagine living in a world where what we eat gives us diabetes. Well, we do, and we carry on doing it. Imagine living in a world where the car we drive choke our children. Well, we do, and we carry on doing it. Imagine living in a world where what we buy and consume causes other humans and other animals to live in awful conditions. Well, we do, and we carry on doing it. How would you feel if I came round to your garden tomorrow and threw into your garden or your living room my weekly waste? Well, we do. And that's what we do, and that's what we have been doing for too long. It's how we live, it's what happens. So this pandemic we now face is a chance, it's an opportunity for us to think through a few things and perhaps make changes. I think that this pandemic might have no long-lasting effect at all, but I think it should have. It really should make us all think twice about what kind of world we want to inhabit when we can resume normal service. Is the old way the life we want? Everyone I meet in the street and the fields these last few days has all shouted the same message across the social space between us. Isn't it lovely and peaceful? And it is lovely and peaceful. Despite the inherent dangers of the pandemic, we are granted here a glimpse of what life could be like if we wanted it to be. We need to think. You need to think. I need to think. Today's the 25th of March. It's the feast of the Annunciation of Christ. It's the day we remember the announcement of the angel Gabriel to Mary that she would have a baby 9 months from now, and that he, Jesus, would change the world. Well, she did have a baby, and he did change the world. And perhaps this pandemic is another form of annunciation, another announcement. Perhaps it's a message or a warning or just an opportunity that the world could change if we wanted it to. Have a think. Have a deep think about the kind of world you want when we get our lives back, those of us that do. Bless you, my friends, and thanks for watching.